The Untold History, a podcast by the Hispanic Council with the collaboration of the Spanish Ministry of Defense to get to know great Spanish figures in the history of the United States. Today, Tristán de Luna. Looking at the origins and parentage of Tristán de Luna, we could jump to the conclusion that it was his connections that provided him with both his appointments and his important encomiendas. Nothing could be further from the truth. Tristán was already an experienced explorer and soldier when he received the position of governor of Florida and was appointed commander of an expedition that, at the time, was considered of capital importance. He was, in fact, one of the men that had better knowledge of the lands that were to be entrusted to him to colonize, populate, and bring under the domain of the King of Spain. He was born in Borovia, Soria, in 1514. He left for the Indies, but his departure felt ordinary, as his father had various other children from a previous marriage. Thus, he left for the first time to New Spain in 1530, only 16 years old, next to Luis de Castilla Osorio, who would become his lifelong great friend. They even accompanied Hernán Cortés in one of his voyages. 20 years later, his service record was brilliant and filled to the brim. In 1540, he took part in the expedition of Francisco Vázquez de Coronado, governor of New Galicia, looking for the 7 cities of Cibola, which legend referred to as full of treasures hosted in houses with ceilings and walls made of gold. From the economic point of view, the expedition was a failure because it demonstrated that the legend was only a myth. However, the expeditors had the glory of discovering the Colorado Canyon. In this expedition that lasted until 1542 and in which 1,400 men participated, Tristán began as captain of horses, was later promoted to field master, and ended up as lieutenant of Vázquez de Coronado. In 1557, the King of Spain had ordered the Viceroy of Mexico to appoint a governor of Florida and St. Helena, who would also be entrusted with an expedition that sought to establish 3 settlements in eastern North America. One immediately off the port of Ochuse, on the coast of Florida bordering the Gulf of Mexico. Another in the province of Coosa, present-day northwest Alabama. And finally, a third on the Atlantic side, in a place called Punta de Santa Elena, present-day Port Royal in South Carolina. The goal was to reinforce the protection and supply of Havana and the Bahamas Channel, as well as to prevent other powers such as France or England from settling in the area. Tristán was the chosen one, and in 1558, he was named governor and captain general of the provinces of La Florida and Punta de Santa Elena, taking the solemn oath of office in the Cathedral of Mexico on November 1st. Immediately, de Luna prepared his expedition, investing in it not only all of his wealth, but also a large loan granted by the viceregal treasury. To this end, he recruited 500 soldiers, some of them accompanied by their wives and children, having the intention of populating the settlements. In addition, he also gathered 1,000 civilians, including farmers and artisans, as well as notaries, royal officials, and 6 Dominican friars. On the other hand, they collected a great number of resources, material and provisions, 240 horses, and construction and agricultural tools. They even carried urban planning instructions for the layout of cities. All of these supplies and people were distributed within 13 ships that departed Veracruz on the 11th of June. It is obvious that the plan was organized with plenty of resources and a great commander at the helm. In short, little was left to chance. But chance does exist and often plays a capital role, as we shall see. Navigation was smooth for the first few days, and they arrived at San Francisco Bay, now Matagorda Bay, where they took those lands in the name of the king. They continued their journey eastward, although various storms sent them inland to the Gulf of Mexico. Even so, they managed to continue their voyage, and on August 14th, they finally came in sight of Ochuse Bay, present-day Pensacola, Florida, which was renamed Philippine Bay in honor of Philip II, giving the port the name of Santa Maria. The first stage of the voyage had been completed. They explored inland and found an area almost uninhabited, which smoothed things out. Thus far, things seemed to be going well, till the previously mentioned Chance decided to make an appearance in the form of a wild hurricane. It was one of those storms to which nowadays we give names, but at the same time are very frequent in the area. One Katrina of the 16th century carried away 7 of 13 ships, the lives of many settlers and animals, as well as a great amount of material. After this unforeseen setback, one of the surviving ships was sent to Havana to ask for help, while a group of settlers was desperately sent inland to search for food. This group, made up of 200 men, advanced along the Alabama River from its mouth at present-day Mobile Bay, and there they found a village called Nanipacana, where they found food. 45 days later, the soldiers brought the information to Ochuse. Meanwhile, our protagonist had fallen ill with a fever, from which, according to a witness, Don Tristán came to lose his mind and his wits, saying nonsense. He still had the courage to order his people to go to the found village, Nanipacana, which was baptized after arriving to Santa Cruz de Nanipacana. The natives, on the other hand, had made all the supplies disappear. The remaining expeditionaries had to confront a famine that led them firstly to eat their horses, and lastly, the soles of their shoes and the leather of their belts. Tristán's leadership took a hit, and he was finally dismissed in January 1561. He left toward Havana and later to Spain, with the aim of defending his actions. He never got the Council of the Indies to give him the funds that he got from his own pocket for the expedition. In 1564, he returned to Mexico, where, despite being ruined, was taken in by his friend Luis de Castilla, who, at the very end, had to pay Tristán's burial. The burial of the man who had the bitter opportunity to demonstrate that not even a great captain, endowed with the best means, sent with the highest blessings, preceded by justified fame, and coming from powerful stock, is oblivious to the whims of chance.